Yo, Molo Sanbonani, hello, how's it? Shalom. Goedemiddag, welcome to it, good people. Happy Wednesday. Happy Wednesday. I hope you guys are having a fantastic day. Uh, yeah, I'm having a decent day. Actually, no, I lie. I'm having a very good day. I've just come from the Soltech University out in Centurion. That's the new university that was built by the trade union Solidarity. I got a nice little opportunity. Ooh, excuse me. That kombucha came back. I got a nice opportunity to tour the facility and speak to a good mate of mine, Flip Base, who is the voorzitter of the Solidarity movement. Excuse me. So it was quite lucky to check that out. I will produce an episode very soon out of that facility where I bring you inside Soltech and I show you exactly what it means to build a quality higher and vocational institution. I mean, it's absolutely commendable what they've managed to do with effectively a crowd-funded university. They've crowdfunded the vast majority of the funds at that facility. So that's what I got a chance to do today. So I'm quite excited for that upcoming episode when we then go there and get you some visuals. With that being said, welcome to it. This is vlog 88. I do want to have a chat about something which again also excites me because it speaks to the type of South Africa that I've argued we really need to be. Stop the bitching and the moaning about the ANC. Stop complaining. Stop positing yourself as a victim who cannot do anything about the state of the country. A country which I have always argued is a faith, flag, family, and freedom type society. And then instead, what the 4F type society should be doing is building community-based institutions, strong, resilient, community-based institutions that will defend our families and push back against the centralized and wannabe socialist government that is the ANC and the other political parties that create that. Let me just close my windows because suddenly the folks have decided to be loud. But I am in Johannesburg. I'm in Gauteng. Guys, I want to have a chat about this because I'm beginning to see, arguably, maybe this is me, maybe I'm being too optimistic, but I'm beginning to see the seeds of that movement towards decentralizing the country and strengthening the idea that actually communities and regions should have more power, to govern themselves. What am I talking about? Well, the good news for those of you who are lucky enough to call the Western Cape your home is that 6 municipalities in your part of the world are looking to break away from ESKOM. And of course, we'll be saying goodbye to load shedding. Oh my goodness, is it not nice to be one of you guys right now? Those 6 municipalities, if I can just find my graphics over here. Actually, before I get there, I actually picked this up in a nice piece in the Business Tech publication, or not publication, just online. And the headline that caught my eye were 6 municipalities are moving off of ESKOM's grid and, of course, away from load shedding. Who are, or which are these municipalities? Well, the vast majority of them, if not all of them, are rather rural and smaller municipalities in the province. But again, you have to start somewhere. I mean, the municipalities in question, which are part of the Western Cape government's Municipal Energy Resilience Project. This is a project that the Western Cape government, that's the provincial government, is assigning just under 50 million rand. It's 48.8 million rand over the next 3 years for them to realize this. And I think they've also pumped another 20 million rand in reserves to municipalities for them to be able to afford effectively decoupling themselves from ESKOM. This is absolutely fantastic news. And those municipalities, of course, are Drakenstein Mossel Bay Municipality, the Overstrand Municipality, Saldanha Bay, Stellenbosch, and the Swartland Municipality out in the Western Cape. So, hey, man, if you're out in those municipalities and you just saw your municipality on that list, you can do the celebratory booty dance because you are going to be free of the ANC's ESKOM and the rather sort of zombie-like, thriller situation that ESKOM has become, where it every year it sucks up more and more money from you, the ordinary hardworking citizen, yet actually cannot guarantee a stable electricity supply. Now, this has massive implications for the country at an economic level. Imagine, if you will, and actually you don't have to imagine because this is happening. For a lot of you, this is reality. Small business owners who are struggling to just keep their business afloat. Forget growing your business. Forget expanding your enterprise. Just merely surviving is rendered very difficult if you do not have a consistent electricity supply. So, it frees you then from the nightmare that is ESKOM to you. And I did see the question or the comment earlier on there. Let me just try and bring it back on screen. Just Jackie Borgite wat vra of sy vra nie, maar sy sê that she hopes the city of Cape Town also does exactly this. Yes, I can safely say, according to that news article, that yes, the city of Cape Town itself will be working with the Western Cape government to do exactly this. So one would believe that they are most likely going to be the first major metro in this country, which very well might decouple itself from the zombie that is ESKOM. Now, it's important to raise another factor here. Whilst I'm in this weird phase of singing the praises of the Western Cape government, once in a blue moon, guys, that the Western Cape government, or specifically, the city of Cape Town already has started to build its own municipal or metro resilience against ESKOM and load shedding. For instance, Cape Town is exempt from stage 1 load shedding. I think that's when ESKOM needs to dump 2,000 megawatts of power. Why? Because whenever stage 1 is announced, Cape Town has its own turbines, or sorry, I may not use the right word here, but generators that it kicks up, and it basically allows the city to operate normally up until I think stage 2. Stage 2 is only when it really begins to actually load shed according to the schedule. So that tells you already that the Western Cape government, by the sounds of things, has begun to maybe listen a lot more. Maybe the political elites in that part of the world are beginning to listen to the citizenry in that part of the world who are different to the rest of the country because they vote differently than the rest of the country. So I think that regional government in that part of the world is, and the politicians at least, are beginning to listen to your messages, are beginning to listen and heed your voices when you say you want a free Cape, when you want a freer Cape in this instance, because this is not necessarily secession, but it definitely is a rather bold move by provincial politicians in that part of the world to say, actually, you know what, we can leave. We can leave the national government insofar as electricity, generation. So, hey, man, maybe it's the beginning of good things. And I think if you're in that part of the world, you should be holding thumbs that this continues. But more than holding thumbs, continue the pressure. Continue the pressure. I know a lot of you who watch my show are the sort of part of the Cape independence, Cape exit type folks. And you are the sort of people who should continue your political pressure on the Democratic Alliance who runs that regional government and say, yeah, this is great, right? This is a great start. Freeing us from, the necrotic zombie, the dying zombie that is ESKOM. That's a start. But how about you free us from more of the national government's folly? How about you free more of us, and more of the province, to the point where maybe even the province itself becomes a federal state on and of its own. I think that's a conversation that is worth having in this country. That is a conversation worth having in this country because it's time. I have no problem, like my ideal, and I've said this before, my ideal would be a federal South Africa where the size of the national government is drastically reduced to maybe 2 or 3 departments, really. 2 or 3 departments, really. And that the rest of the power and the resources are devolved down not only to the provincial level, but primarily to municipal level. So your government at its most powerful point is also your government at its most accountable point. That is my ideal. And I say this as a proud Zulu. Why? Because I would want and strongly advocate for a free KwaZulu-Natal. That's what I want. And it's funny that I talk about it today on such an important and somber day for us as Zulus, when we lay to rest, we plant, as we say in our customs in Zulu. When you refer to royalty being the funeral of a royal, we don't say buried, we say we plant the king tonight, which is why I've donned my umkhele for the past week or so. And if you look around you, I don't know, maybe not so much in other parts of the country, but a lot of places where I've been here in Johannesburg, I've seen fellow Zulus also don umkhele. Because traditionally, in a time like this, us, the Amabuto, the soldiers, if you will, of the Zulu nation, we're supposed to be at Kwanongoma right now to help bury the king. But of course, COVID, blah, 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 blah. So I'm seeing a lot of Zulus just honor the day by wearing their traditional garb. But anyway, I digress. But the point I was driving at is, yes, absolutely. I would want to see a KwaZulu-Natal that also ever increasingly breaks away. Pardon me. A KwaZulu-Natal that breaks away from this wannabe socialist and commie project that is Project South Africa under the ANC. A commie project which other political parties who are also vying for power have no problem taking up the mantle of, even doubling down on. If you look at the likes of the EFF, I do not want my country to sink down the same rabbit hole of disaster, famine, misery, abject poverty, as was the case in all other African examples, all other African countries, and really all other countries that went down the pathway of centralized control, socialism, and communism. I don't want that for my country. And the best way you safeguard that is to devolve power, break it up, and place it as close as possible to the family level, to the community level. And a federal South Africa would be fantastic in that regard. Because I can tell you now, as things are, Project South Africa as a socialist experiment is becoming incredibly expensive for you, the ordinary South African, the cost of which is borne by you, the ordinary faith, flag, family, and freedom type South African. You are paying up to your neck for the failed experiment that politicians are putting us through as they pursue the socialist agenda. And what little benefit there is goes to them, the political elite, and their friends. So my point is, at some point, we need to stop bitching and moaning. I'm doing my part. I've given up my relatively middle-class existence to live on the road. This bakkie that you often see me in is my home. I travel around, go to communities, talk to people, spread my ideas. Firstly, spread my values. The idea that I fight for faith, flag, family, and freedom. And then my ideas, the idea that we should be a free society, a liberty-leaning society, where the power and the resources are firstly taken away from the elites, including the political elites, and they're broken and put it into the hands of families and the individual. You know, I talk a lot about the individual, but really we're a family society. And that's where the power should reside in this country. And I think kudos to the Western Cape in this regard, because they're beginning that process of safeguarding the families that live in those 6 municipalities and giving you a better shot at avoiding the misery that comes from just one part of a failing centralized national government. So at least they're freeing you from just one element of it. And what we should be saying as citizens is we need more of that. More decentralization, more power, decision-making in the hands of local government and really communities and individuals. So shout out to the Western Cape government. That's some good work that you guys are doing. Now, don't stuff it up. Don't stuff it up. Get it right. Involve communities, involve families. I'm just seeing a quick comment here, because this is usually what people think. We're so scarred by apartheid that when you mention a decentralized South Africa, people think homelands and apartheid, because that's what apartheid claimed it was doing, but it really wasn't. Apartheid claimed it was building a decentralized South Africa, but it wasn't. Everything and all power structures were still governed by Pretoria under apartheid. So no, that's not what the homelands were. I'm just trying to see if I can bring up that comment again from Ronald. No, that's not what the homelands were. The homelands were a function of a centralized apartheid government that gave pretense to federalism, but really wasn't. Really wasn't. What I'm calling for is something closer to what the United States of America is, or Germany is, where each state, or preferably even Switzerland, with each of its cantons, where people in local areas make decisions about themselves and the power rests in their hands. That's what I'm calling for. Genuine decentralization, not a bulky, fat, bureaucratic, centralized government that pretends to give regions control over their affairs. That's not what I'm calling for. I would rather a South Africa that is actually made up of various states that govern themselves and recognize their own challenges in each of the regions, where citizens genuinely have greater opportunity and power to make decisions about who governs them. So that's the food for thought, guys. I'm seeing other complaints here. He only looks at Facebook comments. No, guys. Yeah, you guys are, it's like, it's terrible. All right, there we go. Happy. I'll put up a YouTube comment. But yes, I agree with you, Danielle. A decentralized government is exactly the way to go. Anyway, let me know what you think in the comments. I'm super excited for folks in the Western Cape. I think this is the start of something really nice, and it should be replicated elsewhere. But the replication requires you, the citizen, to raise your voice and demand this and say, this is what we want. If South Africa is a single country, is to endure. If it is to endure, then it has to become more regional and decentralized. Absolutely has to. Absolutely has to. So let me know what you think in the comments. And maybe whilst you're saying that, please, guys, hit those like buttons. Hit those like buttons. The moment you come into my stream, just hit the like button. I really, really appreciate it. It does help to push the videos out. It probably does something to the algorithm. That's often what you hear people say in the streams, the algorithm. But I do appreciate it. And please hit that share button. Let's get this conversation going amongst other people. See what they think. So thanks for watching, guys. Super appreciate it. A reminder that you're going to see me tonight at 7 p.m. with special guest Frans Cronier he's the director of the Center for Risk Analysis. And we're going to talk about their campaign that they're running, the hashtag Stop Citizens Abuse campaign, which I think is an important one. So join me for that conversation. That's tonight at 7 p.m. on the Big Daddy Liberty Show. And if you are a viewer of CakeNet, I will be on CakeNet tonight at 8:30 with Valdemir on his show. I'll be giving my insights and views on various topics from the monarchy to the student unrest and all die gemors. So join me at 8:30 tonight on CakeNet on Valdemir's current affairs show. Guys, thank you for watching. Super appreciate it. I will see you tonight at 7, as I said. And a reminder, as I go, for you to never trust a commie.